Consecration, Hebrew kingdom building.
I can do all things through Yahushua who strengthens me. I can do all things through Yahushua who strengthens me.
Yes, sir. Starting verse 11.
Come.
Then Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, will you take the census of the children of Israel for their number? Then every man shall give a ransom for himself to Yahuwah.
To who?
To Yahuwah.
So that word census, remember when we covered this before, that's Rosh. So it's when you take the Rosh of the children of Israel, for that's it's about the heads. So this is about the heads. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. So it's about the Rosh. It's about the heads. When we're talking about the census, it's not really about everybody. It's about the heads. It's about taking the account of the Roshim. That makes sense? And so, it's just like in the U.S. today when they take a census. They do take a census for everybody, but the primary focus of the census is to see how strong your military is. They count the men, the heads. They're trying to see how strong your military is. That's basically the primary. They do look, they look at other things now, demographics and different things like that. But the way the other nations measure their nation is also how many fighting men do you have in case you got to go to war. So, says when you take the census, keep going as I can. The Rosh of the children of Israel for their number.
That there may be no plague among them when you number them. Verse 13. This is what everyone among those who are numbered shall give.
So if you're numbered among the Roshim, that's something you got to give. Keep going.
Half a shekel according to the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs. The half shekel shall be an offering to Yahuwah.
So the half shekel shall be an offering to you, to who? Yahuwah. So this is an offering that everyone who is accounted for, who is accounted for amongst the Kodashim. That means they are numbered. That means they are accounted for. They are recorded. They are to give an offering to Yahuwah. Keep going.
Verse 14. Everyone included among those who are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering to Yahuwah. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel. When you give an offering to Yahuwah to make atonement for yourselves.
To do what?
To make atonement for yourselves.
This is for those who are 20 years old and above. 20, that's the number 2. Shlishi. I'm sorry, Shani. Yeah, Shani. Shani. It's about the seed being split. It's about the seed being split by the power. It's about the seed being split by the powers, by power. You know that it's on that number 2 is right before number 3 is right before resurrection. In order for a plant to grow, the seed has to be split first, right? In order for that resurrection, for that plant to start sprouting forth out of the dry ground, the seed has to be split. So the number 2 is about the seed being split. What this also has to do, because on the second day is when the waters were separated from the waters. It's when the waters were separated from the waters. So it's when the people of the Shamaim were set apart from the people of the Eretz. So when the distinction was made. So that's the connotation with the number 2. So it's interesting that it's those who are 20 years old and above. And read verse 13 again, Zakane. This is how you know this number 2 is important here.
This is what everyone among those who are numbered shall give. Half a shekel according to the shekel of the sanctuary.
What is a shekel?
A shekel is 20 gerahs.
Is how many?
20 gerahs.
It's 20 gerahs, or whatever how you say that.
Gerahs.
And then read verse 14.
Everyone included among those who are numbered from 20 years old and above.
Y'all see this? Y'all getting what I'm saying? So whenever you read in the Torah and you see something, especially numerically, that seems to be repeated, it's like the Ruach saying, hey, I'm trying to show y'all something. It's about the number 20. It's about the number 2. It's about a separation being happening here. See that atonement silver is a sign. This is the people who are being accounted for. That means they're being accounted of the number of the Kodashim. They're separate from all the other nations. These are people that are set apart from all the other nations. Y'all get what I'm saying? We saw this happen. You saw this during the first Pesach too, in a sense, because think about it, y'all. The first Pesach I'm talking about is when the children of Israel were brought out of Mitzrayim, right? So on Pesach, they on Pesach is when they left Egypt. That happened on Pesach in the middle of the night. But they actually were delivered from the Mitzrites when they went through the waters on day 2. Y'all get what I'm saying? So on day 2, in the creation week, Yahuwah split the waters from the waters. On day 2, when they left out of Mitzrayim, Yahuwah did what? Split the waters, didn't he? Right. See what I'm saying? And then, day 3 is resurrection. So on day 3, they walked on dry ground. The waters were split. They walked up on dry ground. And then you saw the Mitzrites. I submit that's probably when they were destroyed and they came out on top. When the Mitzrites were destroyed and they came out on top. So because you see that in the number 3, Shlishi. Shlishi is literally about the breaking of the powers that be. The crushing or pressing of the powers that be. Shlishi. So nevertheless, keeping all that in mind, we see a distinction that's happening with this numbering, because those who are redeemed are those who are now have been set apart. Let's keep reading.
You want to go to 16 or go now? 17?
I'll read verse 16.
16. And you shall take the atonement money of the children of Israel and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of meeting, that it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before Yahuwah, to make atonement for yourselves.
All right. So it says here that in verse 16, and you shall take the atonement money. This is the atonement silver. That's really what it means. It's really what it's saying. It's kapar, atonement, kasep, silver. Kapar, kasep. The children of Israel, we know those two words are related to each other, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle. So that money, what I submit this is mean is that money has to be used for the service of the tabernacle, basically. It can't be used for nothing else. It has to be used for the service of the tabernacle. That it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before Yahuwah. So when the silver that you have given, as an offering, with it being used now for the service of the tabernacle, that will go up as a memorial before Yahuwah continually, and that will make atone. What I believe. So let me read this. So that it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before Yahuwah to make atonement for yourselves. Y'all see how this works? So when the work of Yahuwah is being done based off of the money you've given that came from your hands, that will serve as it will go up as a memorial before Yahuwah, and it'll make an atonement for you. That makes sense? Like, don't lose your thought. Because this is significant. This is in the Torah. All right, just keep that in mind. So let's look at some stuff with Hebrew, in the Hebrew. So the word for ransom, the ransom money in Exodus 30, it's kafar. That's the same word as Kippur, like Yom Kippur. If you look at how Yom Kippur is spelled, it's Kuf Pei Resh. It's the same word. That means it's the same word. Y'all get it, it's just different vowel sounds and stuff, but it's the same word. So that's why the Yom Kippur is really the day of covering. Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement, you know. So that's the word that they have for ransom. Ransom is just, the English people just, the English speakers being English, but kapar, the better way to put it is atonement or covering. Make sense? Atonement silver or ransom money. Y'all got that there? Yeah, clear that up. Hallelujah. The ransom money, Kippur, atonement. Atonement is about being covered. Atonement, I submit, is about being set apart. The people of the Shamaim are people that are atoned for. Y'all get what I'm saying? That are covered. Oh, I told her, Ema. She be hooking the ark up. All right. So, when it comes to atonement, it's about receiving a word from the chief. It's about receiving a word from the Rosh. Kuf Pei Resh, receiving a word from the Rosh. That's always going to be the telltale sign to be able to tell if someone is really of the Shamayim, if someone is really atoned for. Malek Yahushua been actually teaching something very similar, and we did not talk to each other about this. Remember I talked to y'all about this not too long ago? About the word kofar, Kippur, the house about receiving the word. Because in order to be the telltale sign to be able to tell if you have been atoned for is that you'll be able to do these things. That if your kafar means covered, atoned for, you'll be able to receive a word from the head. If you're not atoned for, you will not be able to. It won't be possible. For real, you won't be able to receive a word. You be wondering how come people can't just say, how come they just can't receive a word? They just not his. They not covered. They not atoned for one reason or another. We don't know what's in people's heart. We don't know what people, do in the secret. You know what I'm saying? Only Yahuwah knows. But there's certain things, fruits where you can tell, okay, there's something, something there, something ain't right. They must not be his. And one of the telltale things is they cannot do this, receive a word from their heads. You literally can go in Babylon, you can go into the army, you'll receive a word from the heads of Babylon all day. You receive a word from your job people. They'll tell you crazy stuff too. Hey, look, I just don't think you're a team player. You'll be like, man, I'm sorry, sir. What do I need to do better? You'll receive it. Look, just face it. You're just not a team player. I'm so sorry. Look, whatever I need to do, you know what I'm saying? Receive it, boy. Then the heads of the assemblies like, hey, you haven't been really giving your all to the Most High, when it comes to praise and worship, so I need you to really do better. You know what? They just don't like me. You know what I'm saying? I be giving my all. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see it. I don't see it. That'd be the I don't know why I didn't see this, but you saw it's all throughout the scriptures. Like, man, but I'm not gonna go too far real quick. Let's see here. So, kafar is about being covered. It's about being able to receive a word from the Rosh. It's interesting that you have par is pretty closely related to kapar, ain't it? That's the word for bull. And the breakdown for that is what? Anybody remember? Who said that? Hey, nothing else. Should have told you not to say that. Hey, nothing there, boy. Speaking against the head. That's a bull. You speak against the Rosh. See, I'm telling y'all, all the stuff boils down to a word. This is what we really get. This is what it really boils down to. All the stuff is about a word. It's about being able to receive a word, being able to So kapar is atonement, and par is bull. It's interesting that on the Day of Atonement, one of the things they do was do what? Offer a bull. They kill a bull too, though. They do the two goats, but they kill a bull on Yom Kippur, I thought, right? A bull is involved with Yom Kippur. We're going to look it up, though, to make sure. Leviticus 16. Yom Kippur. The word for money, or the Hebrew word for silver, is kasep. So the atonement money or the atonement silver is kapor kasep. And as y'all know, we talked about this before, but it's similar to, it's about covering, it's about atonement as well. That's why you have the kuf pay in there as well. And so we're going through this. We went through this word before, but there's another layer of a breakdown that the Most High gave me on this. This was pretty powerful that I didn't have before. It's about receiving protection from a false word. It's about receiving protection from a false word, y'all. So the psalmic is like a wall of protection. It's like it's almost like a barbed wire fence. It's like a wall of protection, like a barbed wire wall, or like a thorn. They would line up a wall with thorns so people can't climb it. You get what I'm saying? It's a protection, a protected, guarded fence in a sense. And it's like a protected, guarded fence to keep false words from coming in. You get what I'm saying? To keep false words from penetrating. So why is this a big deal? Because if you've been receiving false words, this is a big one, y'all. If you've been receiving false words, you might want to look at your sacrifices. Have you been sacrificing enough? You might want to see if you've been sacrificing enough, if you've been getting false words a lot. You've been getting words in your mind saying you ain't nobody. You ain't nobody. You've been getting words penetrating your mind that's going against eternal excellency. Going against the things that your heads are telling you, that we're telling you, that the chief's been teaching. We done lost people just because they started getting false words. They thinking it's Yahuwah. Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about totally contrary to everything Malek's been teaching, everything we've been teaching. But I'm hearing it. So you gotta look here, man. I'm you know what? Man, I'm telling you this here. I'm like, man, look, I ain't Yahuwah. Man, look, I'm telling you, man, that ain't the Most High, man. Just hear me out. You know what I'm saying? This is the enemy trying to get you out of here. I'm trying, pleading with, oh man, but man, look here, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing this. So gotta be the Most High, because before it was the Most High. So how come this ain't the Most High when it's the same voice? It's the same voice. Let me pull up the scripture.
Verse 13. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Yahushua. And no wonder, for Hasatan himself transforms himself into an angel of light.
All right, come on. Let's get it. Let's get some in it. Okay, let's read one more time. Verse 14.
Verse 14. And no wonder, for Hasatan himself transforms himself into a malachim of light.
So you start right there. So all right, now read verse 15. Let's get it.
Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works.
So this is in the scriptures. It's not me talking. That Hasatan will disguise himself and can transform himself into a malach of light. He can make himself look like one of the sons of light. He can make himself look like a messenger of light. A lot of times when you receive visions and dreams, they are coming from a messenger, y'all. They're coming from one of the messengers of the Most High. If you see somebody in your dream and they're telling you a message, let's say they say something like, hey, lift up your heads. All praise to the Most High. And then you just wake up. You're like, man. Then you reach out to me, hey, I had this dream. And it was this old guy. He had real silver hair. And he was a Hebrew. And he had on all white. And he said, lift up your heads. And then I woke up. That was a malach, y'all. That was a malach. Like, did you recognize him? Did you know him in real life? Like, is that a family member? No, I ain't never, no. Yeah, that was a malach, most likely. See what I'm saying? So let's say you had a vision or someone that looked like that came and said, man, you know what, Malek, man, you need to leave. Man, you need to leave him, man. He don't know what he's talking about. And you get a vision for real. Was someone coming to you saying that? That's the same dude who told me 3 months ago that told me, lift up your heads, and they told me, now it came, 3 months later, it's the same person and said, woo. So, I need to do that. I need to go on and do this thing opposite. That's probably Hasatan. That's probably a Ruach. That's not of the Most High. But now what you got to do if that happened to you, because I know that's happened before. We've had there was one point in time, man, when the dark season first started, Hasatan was just coming at the tribe. Around the same time when all that happened with Yahu, Hasatan was just coming at shooting words, shooting. So it was an onslaught of false words coming in, pouring into the tribe. And My question is though, if you are receiving false words, there's a sign that it's probably because there's a breach there. And you should pray and reevaluate and evaluate if you are giving enough, if you are giving enough as far as your sacrifices. You see what I'm saying? Because the kasep, which is the Hebrew word for silver, which was listen, y'all. This is what money is in the scriptures, kasep. That's why it's translated a lot of times as money. It's literally about receiving protection from a false word. It's about receiving protection from the false word. So it may be because you're not sacrificing enough. It may be because you need to sacrifice more. The atonement, the kafar, it's about receiving a word from the rosh. Let's say you're doing all that through, but in order to get the atonement, according to Torah, you have to do the atonement silver. You have to do the atonement silver. So the atonement silver is about receiving protection from a false word. Then it'll be easy to be able to receive a true word. That's the atonement silver. Now I know that this was a census money. This was a required. So this was not the same as like giving a teruma or a voluntary offering. This was a requirement. This part wasn't an option. That everybody had to give, the half a shekel. You know what I'm saying? But when you did it, the idea again, this was for the Roshims. This fortifies them. I submit. This was to fortify them from a false message, from a false word. All right, so you got kuf pei. That's kaf. That means hand. That means hand, and we'll look at that here shortly. But let's go ahead and let's move on to Shemot chapter 32. So keep them things in mind that we talked about. We'll go to chapter 32. All right, let's start with verse 1.
Now when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to our Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us gods that shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Mizraim, we do not know what has become of him."
All right. So, something is going on here. Something is going on there. So they don't know what happened to Moshe, so their solution is to make an idol? Somebody's been receiving some false words. Somebody wasn't atoned for here. Y'all ever thought about how this came right after the chapters on atonement and all that stuff? You had chapter 30 about atonement, 31, then then this happens, right? And so somebody was not guarded. And so because this sounds like an idea from a ruach. This sounds like an idea from another entity, not just somebody just decide. I could see, man, let's go send somebody to look for him. I could see, something, but the solution is to make another allure. I got a great idea. Let's worship Baal. What? What? That's not how you come up with that one. Somebody was receiving some false words. Yeah. Yeah, that's the sound of the, I'll let you say that when we get there. 'Cause I was going to get. All right. Keep going.
Verse 2. And Abraham said to them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives.
Which are in the what?
Which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people broke off the golden earrings.
I was telling Musha about the earrings. That's why they broke the. The earrings are a sign of the ear. So, and then they use that to build the calf, right? So they received that false word. That was a symbol of that.
Y'all see that? So this is driving home my point. So your offerings, there is a connection with your offerings and atonement, kippur. That's why atonement is very close to the Hebrew word for money. It is kippur, kasep. And that's why the Most High even made it to where he called the money atonement silver. And when that offering, when those offerings are used for the work of the Most High and he sees his work being done with offerings that you give, that goes up as a memorial to him. And then he provides a covering atonement through that. So, and a part of that is being protected from false words. So I'm trying to put this all together for y'all. Because one big part of one aspect of not being able to receive a word is if you're receiving false words. So one big part of being able to receive the word or receive a word from the Most High is to have a protection against false words. Y'all, I've been talking about this for about a couple months now. This is a war of words, a war on words. Yeah. A big aspect of being able to receive a word is being protected from false words. A big aspect of those who are unable to receive a word is because they're getting a false word from somewhere else that they have already received, so there ain't no room to receive both words. You're getting another word from something else. Yeah. Sometimes you think your own words that you came up in your own mind is better. So now your heads is giving you a word, you're not gonna receive it. No, because that don't agree with the way I think of these things. So nope, no. And that's how it works. You can try to break it down, you can try to show, you can try to, counsel through and spend extra time but again, if they not Yahuwah's, they're not going to receive it. If they're not covered, they're not going to receive it. If they're not atoned for, they won't receive the word. They won't. This is what Yahushua was dealing with. Why do you think Yahushua was telling the Pharisees? He told the Pharisees exactly, he's like, man, yeah, y'all not Yahuwah's. That's what he told them. I know when Yahushua came to the Pharisees and it was like, our father is Abraham. He's like, no, I know who your father is. That's what Yahushua was trying to tell them. Y'all not his. Y'all not Yahuwah's. And they're like, what you mean? You know, he was like, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm just for time. Yahushua was like, man, because if you was Yahuwah's, you would have received my words. That's basically what he was saying. He said, you would have believed me. You would have received me. Yeah, like he's like, man, if you Yahuwah's, if your father was really Abraham, you would have, man, when Abraham saw me, he fully received me. Fully. The Pharisees didn't receive none of Yahushua's words. Everything Yahushua would say, they would come and they would ask questions. You know, I was just talking about the other dudes that asked these. But when they was asking questions, there was one time one of the Pharisees was adding the scriptures literally said, yeah, they asked him to try to trap him. Like this is what people would do. And so, you know, Yahushua wasn't really, and Yahushua would purposely give. That's why he did that. Now it makes so much sense. I didn't really understand that at first. But Yahushua would purposely give these just crazy hard words. Oh, yeah, man, you just got to eat my flesh and drink my blood. You know what I'm saying? Like he would purposely do that. And a lot of people will leave, but those who actually were his, they would still receive it. They would. They might not understand it. They might like, man, I don't understand that. But hey, man, look, this is from you. And we know you from Yahuwah. We receive it. And then Yahushua will give them the understanding. But those who weren't his, that man, they'll leave. Everybody left Yahushua, man. He had all these disciples at first, man. I think it was, yeah, all these, then dwindled down to 70. Then it dwindled down to the 12. And the way it dwindled down, he was like giving these hard words on purpose. He would say these things. And he knew that, he already knew, he understood this. He understood this. He understood that, those who are covered, they're not going to leave. No matter what, they're going to receive these words. So I ain't worried about it. If they left, that means they just not with us. That's why. Yahushua would literally say something, and the Pharisees would be like, Yahushua would do something or say something, the Pharisees would be like, man, what you doing is from Beelzebub. They try to accuse him of, basically being of Hasatan. Like, what? The level of blasphemy, though. But it's because they were not his. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, verse 2 again. And Aaron said to them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, your sons, your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in their ears and brought them to Aaron.
Man, think about it, y'all. Everybody didn't do this. Everybody wasn't down with this. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? There were people who were atoned for in this group. Everybody didn't do that. Think about the people who wasn't down with this. Man, what's going on here, man? Man, I ain't finna do that. I know Aharon the one in charge, man. But man, look here, man. Man, nah, man. Man, look, they tripping, man. They tripping hard. They trying to worship another Lua. Keep going.
Verse 4. And he received the gold from their hand and fashioned it with a engraving tool and made a molded calf. Then they said, this is your Lua, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Mizraim.
Oh, man. That probably grieved the righteous ones. Like, oh, man, they're going to cause, man, they're going to make the Most High come and take everybody out. Keep going.
Verse 5. So when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, tomorrow is the feast to Yahuwah.
So Aharon was all the way with it. He even made a whole proclamation. Verse 6.
Then they rose Early the next day, offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Verse 7, and Yahuwah said to Moshe, go get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Mizraim have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf and worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, this is your lure, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Israel.
Remember that your offerings, the concept is about receiving protection from a false word. And so if you're receiving false words, it may be that you're not sacrificing enough. But you see here, now they offering all these sacrifices to this molded calf, which if y'all know about the molded calf, that is the Apis bull. That's what they worshipped in Egypt. And that goes back to par, bull. So that still boils down to a word. It still boils down to that. Let's keep going.
Verse 9. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, I have seen this people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people.
A stiff-necked people. Stiff-necked people. So being stiff-necked is a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. So it basically means like stubborn. Stubborn. You can't be turned. It's like a term for livestock that's just stubborn, like stubborn as a mule. Yeah. And so the word for stiff neck, it's a compound word. That's the word for stiff neck. It's two Hebrew words. It's kaseh or rep. Kaseh or rep. That's the word for stiff-necked. Kaseh or rep. That's the kush, sheen, hey, ayin, resh, pay. So it's an appointed time to press against revelation. It's an appointed time to press against revelation based on how one perceives the word from a chief. It's an appointed time to press against revelation based on how one perceives a word from the chief, from the Rosh. Perceives. No, perceives, not receive. Perceives, like see. Remember, perceives, the eyes. That's okay. Yeah. So it's an appointed time to press against revelation based on how one perceives a word from the chief. But if someone is stiff-necked, you can't yoke them. They can't yoke to Yahushua. They won't move. They won't do the work. They won't move when it's time to move. They're going to stick right there. They're going to stay right there. So you can't yoke them to nothing. And when you're talking about a stiff-necked person, they'll be yoked at first, and they'll move, and they'll keep moving, and they'll keep moving, and then they'll be like, you'll be in the middle of the field, miles out in the field doing the work, and then they get stiff neck on it. In the middle of the job. That's worse. It's better to know you stiff neck up front. We don't get started. And you got to try to figure that out. So, but stiff neck basically means stubborn. It's another way of saying stubborn. 1 Samuel 15, verse 23. For rebellion is as the sin of, and stubbornness is as, and wasn't they in idolatry? Wasn't they worshiping a golden calf? And Yahuwah called them stiff-necked because that's what stubbornness is, as iniquity and idolatry. That's why they did that. That's why they went into idolatry. Because they were stiff-necked. That's why they went and said, you know what? Let's go ahead, man, and make another allure. When you're stubborn, you're not really trying to sacrifice that much for nothing. There's usually a wall on your sacrifice. There's usually a ceiling to it. The Most High usually almost always wants you to go past that ceiling. You're not going to do it, though. You're not going to do that. And then what happens? Now, because you're not sacrificing what the Most High wants you to sacrifice, now you don't have that wall of protection from the false words. So it all, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it all connected. Are you sacrificing everything you're supposed to sacrifice? Have you given up everything you're supposed to give up for Yahuwah? Go ahead. Oh, yeah.
So just to give a witness to that word, this is Tobit chapter 12, verse 8 and 9. It says, prayer is stewed with fasting and alms and righteousness. A little with righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold. For alms does deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. For alms does deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. So I remember when we were, kind of studying this before time, and one of the main problems is that the perception of this by those who, tell us, try to tell us what version, like what in the Bible is inspired or whatever, whatever word you want to use, was that they said that this means that you can be atoned for your sins if you pay gold, if you pay money. But they had the wrong perception. They ain't had this understanding that you're bringing out right now. Because really what it is, it's the sacrificing. It's the sacrificing that is the covering. It gives you the atonement, kind of like what you were saying earlier. So just as a witness, like what Bushal's saying isn't something that's foreign. It's actually written here in Tobit chapter 12. It's like, man, for alms, I'm going to read the rest. For alms does deliver from death, and shall purge away all sin. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life. Because they have this habit of sacrificing. And when you have the habit of sacrificing, it's hard for the enemy to really deceive you, because Yahuwah moves on sacrifice. So now that you've given these things up, all of a sudden Yahuwah is speaking to you more. All of a sudden Yahuwah like meeting you in your prayer closet. So anyway, that's all I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, no, that's huge, because when it talks about you receive forgiveness for sins, that's atonement. That's the same. That's just talking about the same thing. So similar concept. So nevertheless, that's what happened here. Maury had brought this out. We were talking one-on-one, I believe, not too long ago. This was, so it says, because you have rejected the word. Y'all see this? Because you have rejected what? So doesn't that mean that he didn't receive a word? Who are they talking about here? Do y'all remember this verse, this passage, the context? King Saul, right? Because you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, he also has rejected you from being king. Y'all know this was about money. Yahuwah told this whole judgment was because Yahuwah told Saul to go take these people, this nation, and kill everybody. Don't leave nothing. Because it was supposed to be a what? Sacrifice. Kill everybody, don't take nothing. But nah, instead he killed everybody, or most of everybody, but he kept the king, and he still took all the they call it the booty, the treasure, the like the sheep and different things like that. And the way he tried to flip it, because he thought he could gaslight the Most High. I don't know what he was thinking. It was crazy. Oh, but the Most High, but Most High, but what I did was I had took the sheep so we can give you more offerings. We can give you more sacrifices. And that's why the response was, that obedience is better than sacrifice. That's why Yahuwah was saying that stuff. Like he was responding to Saul because he was like, yeah, but so we could do we did some more sacrifices. Because people will do that. People will say that stuff like that all the time. They'll try to flip it. You be like, hey man, look, you can't you can't use drug money. Don't man, look, man, don't. If you're in the tribe, don't sell drugs in the tribe. Don't do that. Oh man, but I can use it, man. We can do, man. People will flip it. Well, nah, you don't care nothing about that. You just trying to stack your bank up. But you gotta move in righteousness. And so this was about sacrifice. That's what this was about. We didn't read it, we only got verse 23, but this is where the obedience is better than sacrifice and all that. It's the same passage. I think it's the next verse or the verse right before this. I think it's the verse right after this where he says, for obedience is better than sacrifice and something better than the fat of lambs. It's right before this, yeah, because then he says, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. We were kind of brought up in Babylon that stubbornness is a thug thing. That means you're strong. Man, look, if you know you come from a background of being stubborn, man, you better rebuke that. You better cleanse that bloodline and get that cleansed and get that redeemed and delivered from everything. Because there ain't nothing through about being stubborn. Not according to the scriptures. All the stubborn got cut off in the wilderness. All of them. It wasn't nobody stubborn that made it into the kingdom. There ain't no way you're going to be able to submit to no head if you stubborn. You ain't going to be able to submit to no Moshe if you were stubborn. You ain't going to be able to submit to Yahushua if you were stubborn. So you sure ain't finna submit to the heads who have set it up today. Because as soon as a word go out that you don't agree with or you don't see it, you're going to be like, man, look, I know better, because stubbornness is idolatry. Stubbornness is you thinking that you're better than the Most High, for real. You think you're better than it. The way you look at it, that's the way. That's what stubbornness is. The way I look at it, that's it. So, Yahuwah, if you telling me something that's different than the way I look at it, I'm going with the way I look at it. That's stubbornness. Yeah, oh yeah.
So just real quick, because, ain't nobody says like, well, Yahuwah said this, so I'm going to just do the opposite. Usually what that looked like is what you were saying earlier. Oh, Yahuwah said this to my leader, but I'm going to do the opposite. Because we don't process it like, oh, Yahuwah said it. We like, Mushal said that, so I don't really have to do that. That's what Mushal said. That's stubbornness. That's Malek said it, so I ain't gonna do that. I disagree with that. And every one of them people couldn't become a God. They got cut off.
And that word The word that's after that, it says to heed is better than the fat of rams. To heed, yeah. So to receive a word is better than the fat of rams.
So remember, let me say this. Hold on, that's a great point, because who told King Saul to go to war and not to sacrifice everything? Don't take nothing back. Was it Yahuwah that told him, or who told him? It was a man that told him. He didn't get that. It ain't like Saul got that word directly from Yahuwah. No. It is, but my point is, it was through when Yahuwah gives somebody a word, it's through a person. That's how it works. That's how it always worked throughout the scripture. That's how it always worked. That's how it always worked, y'all. So, in his mind, he probably was like, "Yeah, I know Samuel said this, man. They grew up together. Him and Samuel, they grew up together. You know, yeah, you know. I'm gonna take some of the sheep. He'll be all right." And Samuel had to give him the judgment, like, "Man, now, man, you just went against Yahuwah by doing that, man. Now, Yahuwah, now he rejecting you." They'll be all right. You want to go in the other room? But my point is that Samuel gave him that word. And so he probably, growing up with Samuel, he had the mindset that, man, I'm just going to take a little bit of the stuff, man, you know what I'm saying? And Samuel had to give him the word that, man, you just went against Yahuwah, man. Like, what you doing? Like, now Yahuwah. Y'all know that Samuel and Saul was so close that when Yahuwah gave Samuel the word that he was angry at Saul, Samuel was grieved about that. He was so grieved that Yahuwah had to tell Samuel, "Hey, nah, don't grieve about him no more. Hey, yeah, chill. Nah, man. Look. Don't worry about it. It is what it is. I'm cutting them off. I'm cutting them off from everything. I'm cutting them off from being a king. And you're going to tell them." That was Samuel's heart, man. They was close, man. Like, yeah, that hurt him. That hurt him. And so, nevertheless, it's about not being stiff-necked. It's about being able to receive a word. It's about sacrificing. It's about sacrificing. Let's keep going. Let's keep reading.
Okay, verse 9 again.
Well,
We're going to go to verse 10.
let's look at this real quick. The Hebrew word for patsar. The Hebrew word for stubbornness is patsar. So the Hebrew word for stubbornness is patsar. That's interesting, huh? If some of y'all are paying attention to some of the other words I brought out, y'all notice they got that right there, huh? Mm-hmm. That's interesting, huh? So that's a sadi. So that's why I put the pictograph. I mean, regular Hebrew up there to help. But patsar, it's about snaring the heads with a word. It's about snaring the heads with a word. Snaring the heads with a word. It's about snaring the roach with a word. Stubbornness. Oh, no worries. All right, Ezekiel chapter 13. I talked about this yesterday. It says, and Yahuwah said to me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I have not sent them, commanded them, nor spoken to them. They prophesy to you a false vision, divination, a worthless thing, and the deceit of their hearts. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah concerning the prophets who prophesy in my name, whom I did not send, and who say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. Again, they're saying something directly opposite of what Yahuwah has been saying through the real prophets, through Yirmiyahu, through Ezekiel, etc. Yahuwah says, by sword and famine those prophets shall be consumed. Verse 16, and the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword. They will have no one to bury them nor their wives, their sons nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness on them. Go to Ezekiel 13, and we're going to read verse 18 and 19. Ezekiel 13, verse 18. Everybody there? All right, let's go.
All right. Thus says Adon-Alua, woe to the women who sew magic charms on their sleeves and make veils for their
Start with verse 17. That's my bad.
Okay. Likewise, son of man, set your face against the daughters of your people who
right,
prophesy out of their own heart.
Start up. Say it again.
Likewise, son of man, set your face against the daughters of your people who prophesy out of their own heart. Prophesy against them.
Come, keep going.
And say, thus says Adon Yahuwah, woe to the women who sew magic charms on their sleeves and make veils for the heads of people of every height, to hunt souls.
To do what?
To hunt souls.
Man, keep going.
Will you hunt the souls of my people and keep yourselves alive?
Man.
And will you profane me among my people for handfuls of barley and for pieces of bread, killing people who should not die and keeping people alive who should not live?
By doing what?
By your lying to my people who listen to lies. Verse 20, therefore says at Yahuwah Adon-Alua, behold, I am against your magic charms by which you hunt souls. They are like birds.
So that with their words, they hunt souls like birds. Keep going.
I will tear them from your arms and let the souls go. The souls you hunt like birds. I will also tear off your veils and deliver my people out of your hand. They shall no longer be as prey in your hand. Then you shall know that I am Yahuwah.
Again, stubbornness is likened to idolatry. And the word for stubbornness is about snaring their heads with a word. It's about snaring people with a word. You notice that these daughters were wicked prophets who were literally catching people with their words. They were hunting souls like birds. They were snaring people with their words by using lies. You notice also that they were into what? Idolatry, weren't they? Because it also talks to them dealing with charms and magic and things like that. Y'all see how that ties together? It all comes together. All right, let's go back to Ezekiel. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It's all the same chapter. I just didn't get those later verses on there. But that whole chapter goes into different types of people giving false words, giving false visions. That whole chapter is pretty long. So I was trying to hone in on the main stuff. But here's another one here too. I didn't go on get on. Might as well read this one too. This is all Ezekiel 13. This is all the same chapter. This is verse 8 and 9. Therefore, thus says Adon Alua, because you have spoken nonsense. You see how Yahuwah was speaking to him? Because you have spoken nonsense and envisioned lies. Envisioned lies. See, the Most High didn't look at that as an excuse because they might have saw a vision that gave them a false word and they took it. Most High didn't look at that as no excuse. Therefore, thus says Adon Alua, because you have spoken nonsense and envisioned lies. Therefore, I am indeed against you, says Adon Alua. My hand will be against the prophets who envision futility and who divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people. Yes, it is. Nor be written in the records of the house of Israel. What does that mean? That means they will not be accounted for. They will not be in the number. The atonement silver was for those who were written in the records, for those who were written in the book, the books of life. Nor be written in the record of the house of Israel, nor shall they enter into the land of Israel. Then you shall know that I am Adon Alua. Hallelujah. Let's get back to Exodus. Let's go back to Shemot 32. All right. Man, what verse we on, y'all? Yeah, I think that sounds right. Verse 9, let's get it. Oh, you're right on it. Exactly what we on.
Everybody there? And Yahuwah said to Moshe, I have seen this people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them. And I will make of you a great nation. Then Moshe pleaded with Yahuwah, his Elohim, and said, Yahuwah, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Israel, with great power and with a mighty hand? Verse 12, why should the Egyptians speak and say, he brought them out of the harm them. He brought us, do it again. He brought them out to harm them, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth. Turn from your fierce wrath and relent from this harm to your people. Verse 13, remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self, and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of Shamaim. In all this land that I have spoken, or I have to give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. So Yahuwah relented from the harm which he said he would do to his people.
So, y'all see this? So this was basically Moshe literally interceded because Yahuwah was ready to take everybody out. He's like, I'm gonna start up. I can make a nation through you. And Moshe interceded and said, please don't do that. Remember the covenant. The nations will say, man, you brought them all out of here and did all that, brought them out of Egypt just to destroy them. And it was interesting. They're hearing this conversation Moshe had with Yahuwah, and man, he pleaded with Yahuwah to for him not to do this, and it says that he relented. He didn't do it from the harm which he had said he would do to his people. That's powerful. That's about atonement. That's about covering. And yeah, like Ahmed was just mentioning, you'll see something similar in Ezekiel chapter 11 with the writer's inkhorn. Ezekiel chapter 20? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, about the, okay. Yeah. Yeah, but you saw, okay, I get what you're saying. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 14. So Yahuwah relented from the harm which he had said he would do to his people. And Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in his hand. The tablets were written on both sides. On the one side and on the other side they were written. Verse 16. Now the tablets were the work of Yahuwah, and the writing was the writing of Yahuwah engraved on the tablets.
So now it's a time to receive words, isn't it? Y'all know that they don't really say 10 commandments. Like when you look into Hebrew, it's really about the words, sayings. I think it's Amar. It's about sayings. Verse 17. So keep in mind all this happened. And it was time for them to receive all these words that Yahuwah had written down with his finger. Verse 17.
And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moshe, there is a noise of war in the camp. But he said, it is not the noise of the shout of victory, nor the noise of the cry of defeat, but the sound of singing I hear. So it was, as soon as he came near the camp, that he saw the calf in the dancing. So Moshe's anger became hot. He cast the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain.
Man.
Verse 20. Then he took the calf which they had made, burned it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and scattered it.
And scattered it where?
Okay, I got lost.
Verse 20.
Verse 20, okay. Okay. Verse 20. And he took the calf which they had made, burned it in the fire, and ground it to powder. And he scattered it in the water and made the children of Israel drink it.
And then I think it was Hadassah who made the point that that's how gold is tried and purified. That was a huge point. I don't know if y'all heard when Hadassah was bringing that point out. It's fire and water. The 2 tablets of the commandments with all the words on it were on what? Like even being able to get the fullness of the impartation, if one of the heads is laying hands on you, it's based on how you can receive a word. Like this is amazing when you think about it. It's real. Because if you can't receive a word from that person that they're trying to impart into you, you're not going to be able to receive the impartation. Bro, you're not. It'll just be a touch.
So on that receiving of the word, what is not is, all right, I'm listening and I'm gonna go consider this. I'm gonna go think on it and pray on it to see if this is real. So you really gotta know like the season that we in, because at one point I think that's why Yahuwah did so many works. I think that's why we had so many moments of Aruka and all these things and the casting out of unclean rule code. And for a while, I think everybody in here done seen somebody function in casting out an unclean rule code, right? Raise your hand if you have not seen that. Okay. You haven't seen it? Okay, I was like, how? Okay. All right, so that means that you done seen people do miracles. That's why I think there was a season where we just had that back to back to back to back. So it really shouldn't be a thing now where you done seen this person move. Man, you just brought this up earlier. How Yahushua was doing these miracles, doing these works. And it's like, yeah, you was doing that by Beelzebub. They didn't believe the works. They didn't. So it shouldn't be a time now where if somebody comes and they're imparting something into you that you got to consider, is this person of Yahuwah? Especially when it's coming from leadership. Especially when it's coming from the heads, like Musa was saying, because if it gets to the point to where, not even gets to the point, if it's at the point to where you have to consider if what they're saying is of Yahuwah or not, is it true or not, you missed it. Because it's a window of time. It ain't like this thing where you got all day to get this impartation. That somebody can come lay hands on you, you can go home and think about it, come back and say, okay, I'm ready now. That's not how that works. It's a moment in time. So you got to be able to receive the words. That's receiving the sapphire. And the way you know if you can receive the words, the way you know you're ready for the impartation is how have you received the words before it got to that? How have you received the word that they gave you before they even laid hands on you? Because if you ain't received the words before they lay hands on you, you're not going to be ready to receive it when they are laying hands on you. When they are ready to give you this thing now, when they're ready to impart into you now, you won't be able to receive it because you couldn't receive the other words. Wait, can I? Well, I just say it's even the Aruka.
That was a through point. Because maybe sometimes we might not know what it means to actually receive a word. So it's a through point. Maybe that's something on a mishpaka call or something to kind of go into. Because receiving a word is not, it's ruwako, y'all. I know it seems like it's just, you're supposed to do what the head say. You're supposed to, it's way deeper than that. It's not about that. Just doing what, whatever the head say, it's deeper than that, y'all. It's kind of hard to explain. Receiving the word is ruwako. It's a ruwako as it's something. It's not even gonna be a thing. The words go in you. When you're of the shamayim, when you're the same, when you cut from the same cloth, for what some people say. When you're from the same bloodline, it's just gonna go in you, and you're gonna move on it. You're gonna do it. It's not gonna be like a lot of effort to it. You're gonna receive it. You get what I'm saying? And it's like you will like it'll be to the point to where people will be able to look at you and be like, "Oh man, you with the eternal excellency, huh? You were rebirthing them, huh?" For real. It's you fully receive. It's fully accepting. This is the best way to word it. Thank you, Most High. Thank you. It's fully accepting your heads as your heads. That's basically what it boils down to. Fully accepting your heads as your heads. Fully accepting your hundredfold family. Fully accepting your obs as your obs. One of the easiest impartations I've done was with my son. My sons, especially my youngest one. I'm able to lay here and they're gonna just fully receive it. There's no hold back. There's no, yeah. And it's like doing that with a word as well. Doing that with the words as well. That's what it means to receive a word. That make more sense? Because I think what it could come off is, you're just supposed to do. You're supposed to mind the heads. Do what we say. And that's man. Like, nah, it's way more to it than that. It's way deeper than that. It's not like, yeah, if there's a word going out that you're supposed to do, that if there's a directive coming out from the chiefs, of course, right? Yeah, we supposed to do that. That's true. But that's very surface. That's not. It's way more to it than that. It's ruwako. Come. Go ahead. My bad. I saw you earlier and I forgot to get it to you. Here you
go. So as Mushal was talking, it was like a lot of things that was like hitting my ruach. I think it's because he was looking for an example. So understanding that the words are a test of obedience, understanding that the reason he's telling you to stay in the word, his word, is to be able to discern what's the distinction that was made, right, between through word and a word that is raw, right, meaning a word that's from Yahuwah, a word that's not from him. And so he was showing me that the words are seedlings. It's like these little seeds that's being planted in the soil, right? And so then he showed me the fig tree. And he was saying at one point this fig tree was told to grow and to be fruitful, right? And to multiply, right? But that fig tree couldn't receive the words, so it never bared fruit. And so he was showing me that because it couldn't be obedient, that's why it had to be cut off. And so whenever these words are going forth, Yahuwah is testing not only the obedience, but your trust for him. And when you choose to reject the word because it doesn't align with yourself, you make yourself like the golden calf. And you begin to worship your words over his words. Because he says that his word doesn't return void. He says that he'll send you 2 or 3 witnesses to establish a thing. So that was him showing you his characteristic, how he deals with that. And whenever you hear words and you have no witnesses, but you try to pervert it and make witnesses, it's still being a stubborn bull, because you preserve yourself to still make yourself that golden idol, not realizing it or identifying that you have now idolized yourself, your opinion, and your word, even though it was a false word that was sent, that you trusted and believed in. So you allowed the false word to bear fruit and to kill out all of the through words, instead of renouncing, denouncing, or repenting for that wrong word that bared fruit, that was trying to choke out all of the through that Yahuwah has put in you.
Let's go back to Shemot 32.
Okay, verse 21, everybody there? And Moshe said to Aaron, what did this people do to you, that you have brought so great a sin upon them? So Aaron said, do not let the anger of mine allure become hot. You know the people that they are set on evil.
Do not let the anger of my master.
My master. Now let the anger of my master become hot. You know the people that they are set on evil. Verse 23. For they said to me, make us lures that shall go before us. As for this Moshe, the man who brought us out of the land of Mizraim, we do not know what has become of him. Verse 24, and I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and his calf came out.
Man, this is what people do. This is real. So this is basically Adam and Eve again. This is what's happening. So remember that the children of Israel is the bride, and Aharon, he served as the high priest, and the high priest is like a symbolic of Yahushua. We know that. So the high priest is symbolic of the bridegroom. You know what I'm saying? And so basically this was an Adam and Eve situation. You know, you had the bride, one of the worshipable golden calf. They wanted to bite the forbidden fruit, basically. And then the bridegroom went on and rolled with it. And he partook in it as well and ran it. And so then Moshe, he comes, Moshe is like the Most High because he's coming on the authority of the Most High. And he's like, hey, man, what are you doing? And what does Adam say? Oh, no. It was the women you gave me. It was the bride. They said to make a golden calf. They said, well, and I did it. And then out came the golden calf. It was their fault. They did it. They had told me to do it. And he said, you know the people that they are set on evil? They said to me, make us a lures that shall go before us. What happened? Why did Eve end up biting the forbidden fruit? Wasn't it because she received a false word? Y'all see how this works? Would she have bit that fruit if she didn't get that word from that serpent? No, she wasn't thinking about that. No, you had the serpent came with a false word and enticed her through words, ensnared her through a word to go and to partake of that thing that Yahuwah said not to do. And so she did it, and she got Adam to do it as well. And so this is the same pattern. This is what happened in the golden. I submit this is what happened in the golden calf situation. There was a false word that went into the bride, the children of Israel. They came and brought it to Adam, which was Aaron in this time. And Adam went on and partook in it too. See, Aharon was different. He should have known a little bit more better. Because, man, you've been chilling with Moshe this whole time, man. You know, you've been dealing with Yahuwah directly in a lot of aspects, man. You know what I'm saying? The children of Israel might have been a little different. It's kind of like Eve. You know, Adam, hey, man, Adam was like you had got the word directly from Yahuwah. Eve might not have, but still. But this is all about a word. This is all about a word. We've been talking about this. How did Eve even get to the point to where she received that false word? There was a breach somewhere, wasn't there? Remember we talked about this some years ago. There was a breach somewhere where she wasn't fully covered. Adam should have been there. Let's keep going.
Verse 25. Now when Moshe saw the people were unrestrained, for Aharon had not restrained them to their shame among their enemies.
You see this? Aharon should have covered them. Just like Adam should have covered Eve. He should have been there. If he was there, that serpent wouldn't have been able to come with that false word. Adam would have immediately shut that down. Oh, no, what you talking about, man? Yahuwah, did Yahuwah really say that? Oh, yeah, he said that, man. He came at me. Yeah, go on somewhere, man. Look here, man. I'm gonna count to 5, man. I'm gonna have to pull out this sword. How about that? How about you talk to the sword? For real. That would not have went down if Adam was there. But the serpent knew to go to the weaker vessel. The serpent knew to go to the Isha. The serpent would have never went to Adam with that mess. But he knew he could get to Adam through the Isha. So it's the same thing. Like the serpent knew, like, those false words that went out, that wouldn't have worked on Moshe. So no. The enemy ain't gonna go with Moshe with them false words, man. Moshe had a full hedge of protection from false words. He didn't sacrifice so much. And Aharon was right there with him. So Aharon too, but let's go to the let's get, if we can get the children of Israel, at least a few thousand of them on this, man. Then I can get to Moshe. Then I can get to Aharon like that. Through the bride. Oh yeah, they ain't sacrificed a lot at all. A lot of them, they trying to go back to Egypt. I know I can get to them. Yeah. And that's how it happened.
When we had the cuts before, you were saying about how there are these breaches when you slack off on praying, missing prayer times, not staying in the word. And that's how it makes it easy for you not to be able to discern between his word and then the false word. Because you somewhere in you is like, this word is true. I know I heard this from him, this and that, but there's no witnesses. That's how you know. His word, in his word, he said, he gave the example of having 2 or 3 witnesses to establish a thing. So that's when he's telling you, like, this is when it's for sure. So I yield.
Con, I mean, it ain't even gotta be that. That could be an aspect. But there's sometimes where Yahuwah will give you a word, it ain't gonna be 2 3 witnesses. You're gonna have to be able to move on it. You will give you a word, and we just gotta move. That's it. But that is an aspect. A lot of times there will be multiple witnesses. I mean, it just depends. But this is where if, for example, you receive a word, you go to Melech, and they're like, yeah, that's not from the Most High. Do you receive that? You be like, well, I know better than Melech, because I know what I heard. I know better than them. For real, this is real stuff. Like, this is real. Then chances are you having an issue with receiving. Chances are you having issues with receiving a word.
Just that. So it says now when Musha saw that the people were unrestrained, for Aaron had not restrained them to their shame among their enemies. So that word for unrestrained is para, which could mean naked, but it also could mean lead or to act as a leader. So that goes back to what you were saying, like you trying to lead yourself instead of following the leader. And then it says to their shame among the enemies. So that also can be translated as like whisper. So basically what you're doing when the enemy see that you're not in line, you're not in order, it actually creates a breach for them to be able to get in.
That's right on the money. And one thing that, boy, I'm telling you, man, the enemy, they can tell when you out of order. They can tell. They can tell. It look like somebody. Y'all ever seen a pack of what's them animals called, man? Not the deers, but they like the deers. They be in the savannah in Africa, like gazelles. Y'all ever seen a pack of gazelles? And the lions will come to try to catch the pack of gazelles, and they gone in that car. But there's always that one who ain't in that car, and I'm talking about them lions snip them out quick, don't they? It'd be that one that be a little. Now the babies is different. I'm talking about the grown ones though. The grown one. Now the babies always be easy pickings, but I mean, when they catch the grown one, it always be that one that ain't in the car with everybody. He be the one to be. I'm gonna be a little bit over here. Boy, they hone in on that one boy and get him. For real. The scriptures say, house of times, cook comes in like a lion, seeking whom he may devour. That's literally what it is. He not going and looking at the one that's grounded and rooted. Nah, that's too hard when he can get the one that's wishy-washy, that's a little iffy, not really grounded like that, not really solid, and still, listening to words from other stuff out there. Oh, he going after that one. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. If y'all receiving false words, if y'all getting stuff like that, you got to ask yourself why. It's maybe something there that you need to deal with. It may be a breach or something that you need to jump on. Because for some reason you being targeted. You looked at as easy prey, for real. You looked at as a weaker vessel, for real. There's some reason why you looked at it as a weaker vessel. And that's something to seek, to see. Maybe you're not sacrificing enough. Maybe Uriah was bringing out, the prayers life done fell off, and you need to get back on that. It's something. Maybe there were some words you had got from your heads in the past that you never really received. There was something they told you to do, you never did it. And now it's a few months down the road, you probably done forgot about it, and then it caused a breach. You one of those out there. Dealing with all kind of stuff now, dealing with depression, getting all these false words, getting all these words, getting all these thoughts. Let's keep going.
Verse 26. Then Moshe stood in the entrance of the camp and said, whoever is on Yahuwah's side, come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together to him. And he said to them, thus says Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, let every man put his sword on his side and go in and out from the entrance to entrance throughout the camp, and let every man kill his brother.
Man, y'all hear this? You had to been all the way. This is proof that everybody wasn't with that golden calf stuff that was going on. Everybody wasn't with that. Everybody was not with that golden calf stuff that was going on. And so he said, who's ever on Yahuwah's side, come over here, man. And the Levites were the ones who came. Those are the people that were from Moshe's family. That's Moshe and Aharon, they're the Levites. They all like, nah, we on Yahuwah's side. But this goes back to sacrifice. And I told y'all this is all about sacrifice. Oh, really? You on Yahuwah's side? Okay, we're gonna see. Everybody get a sword and go and kill those who was doing that. Some of those people are your brothers. Some of those people are your mishpacha you grew up with. Some of those people are your children. And we're talking about grown children, you know what I'm talking about. But remember, Moshe was 80-something right here. Y'all got to keep this in mind what we talking about here. Now, you got somebody who was for Yahuwah, man. His 30-year-old son was one of them ones dancing with the on the golden calf. Oh, you really on Yahuwah's side? Okay, here's the sword. Everyone go and kill your neighbor. Ooh, sacrifice. Remember what we talked about on the Mishpacha call? Because you see that in the world too. In a perverted way. It's not in no righteous way at all. But that'll prove really, really, if you really on Yahuwah's side, if you're ready to leave even your family members for Yahuwah. Ooh, man. There's certain family members you have that are enemies to the Most High. And the Most High is like, yeah, you got to cut them off. You got to let them go. You got to come and serve me. And you can't do that. Man, I'm just saying. Sacrifice, y'all. Sacrifice. This is real. We know this. I mean, who had told even Abraham to offer up your son, your only son? We know all these things. We know he didn't have to go through with it, but he had to prove to you that he didn't have to go through with it. And we think that he had it easy or something. No. He only didn't have to go through with it after he showed Yahuwah without a doubt that if he had to, he would offer up his son. That's what the part y'all got to remember. He was all the way with the act like this. Oh, Yahuwah, okay. And he was all the way like this. And Yahuwah had the malak to literally get his hand before he went all the way. I mean, it got all he had to prove to the Most High without a shadow of doubt that if he had to, he'll do it. So that means I'm talking about Abraham probably was like literally like, stop. The malak probably did like that. No, don't do it. Wait. What? Yahuwah had said. For real. Because he had to show the Most High without a shadow of doubt he was going to do it before he stopped that. And the Most High like, man, you with it. Now, because of this, I'm finna bless your whole seed. Man, you was like, man, look, I'm going to make it to where nations is going to come out of you. All the nations on the earth will be blessed through your seed. Kings will come out. Man, there was so many blessings. After he showed them that, y'all got to understand the importance of sacrifice. That's why when it comes to, and I think we're going to read this the next Torah portion, even the priesthood, if you wanted to be consecrated to be a Levite to the Levitical priesthood, you got to kill a bull. After that, it was probably because of this golden calf incident. Like, okay, I see. Okay, look here. Nah, they still got this Egyptian stuff in them, man. All right. In order for y'all to be a part of my priesthood, which is the highest, that was the highest order in the wilderness, was the Levitical priesthood. That was the eternal excellency of their time. Like, all right, y'all gonna have to kill a bull. You're gonna have to prove that you don't got no Egypt in you. And I know that if you kill a bull, that's gonna show for sure, because that's their highest thing they worship is the bull out there. So, man, if you kill a bull, I know for sure that you through. So, in order to be a part of this order, you got to kill the bull and sprinkle the blood and do all kinds of things like that. Kill the bull as a whole burnt offering. That means you got to kill it, behead it. You got to, man, open up, pull out the entrails. Man, I'm talking about if you worship a bull, there's no way you can do that. No way. And so, how you going to prove that you're not joining the Babylon? Ooh. How you going to prove that? How you going to show the Most High? It's going to be different for everybody. It's based on the things that you were so attached to here. The Most High might have you do certain things. Show them that you serious about you. That you should, man, look here, forget Babylon. Most High, I'm with you. Most High, I'm with the Shaman. He might be like, okay, well, this is what I need you to do. And that's why I know, because I talk to y'all, and I've been with pretty much all of y'all for quite a while now. And I know the Most High has had y'all to sacrifice, man. The Most High has had y'all to sacrifice. That's the walkway, bro. That's the allure we serve. That's where we at. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, let's keep reading. Let's just finish the chapter. We almost done. We're just going to finish the chapter.
And let every man kill his brother, every man his companion, every man his neighbor.
Y'all see this? Every man kill his brother, every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. Keep going.
Verse 28. So the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moshe. And about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. Then Moshe said, consecrate yourselves today to Yahuwah, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day.
So there was a blessing that came out of that cutting. Y'all see that?
For every man has opposed his son and his brother.
Y'all see, Yahuwah looked at that as a thub thing. He was like, man, y'all consecrate yourself. I'm going to bestow upon you a blessing because every man has opposed even, it says even his son. Y'all see this? You know, it didn't say that up here. It said every man his companion, his neighbor, and his brother. So what happened was that they went even further, and even they sons, if they had to, you gotta go, man. You was dancing with that doggone cow, boom, for real. I know this stuff heavy. I know.
So Yeladim, this is man, I hope y'all felt that. I hope y'all felt that. I don't know. I know, you know, some of y'all done tuned out. But we'll talk about that later. But I hope y'all felt what he just said. They had to go and kill their sons. Now, this ain't talking about y'all age necessarily. I think it's talking about probably older sons. This is just my opinion, 20 and up probably, something like that. But man, you don't learn not to do that when you turn 20. You learn not to do that kind of stuff and rebel against Yahuwah at y'all age now. So if you thinking, oh, I got all day to learn Yahuwah. When I turn 20, that's when I'm going to really serve Yahuwah. No, you're not, one. And then two, you might mess around and find yourself doing something like this where you're going to get cut off. Because you said, oh, I'm 13, I got time. I can sit and play, right? Blowing my brother's face. I got time. I don't really have to listen. I got time. Okay. You don't have time, children. Y'all don't have time like that. Y'all better get what y'all came here to get, because it takes years to develop the stuff that he talking about. To have the discipline not to follow it with the whole crowd. I mean, think about it. It was 3,000 men that died. You had 3,000 people doing a thing. 3,000 people. I see y'all running around here. There'd be 2 people doing something, and y'all join in. You had 3,000 people doing a thing at a party. 3,000 people went to a party, and they up there electric sliding with the calf. And you think you're gonna have the discipline to resist when you're 20, when you can't resist now? 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old. Nah, y'all better start listening and get this stuff together now, because you don't know. You don't know what lies in the future that you're going to need this lesson for. It might be 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, and this lesson might save your life. Because I'm going to tell you, man, look, there's our king that just run around in black. The whole house of Sabayahu run around in black. We done been up there. They don't play like that. You might run into one of them on a day you decide to sin. I'll be honest, you might run into me on the day you decide to sin. You might run into Yaya. Y'all don't notice Yaya be wearing all black? Am I lying? What color you got on? I'm colorblind, but I think I can see black. But y'all, you don't know. Because they went through the camp and it says they killed their sons. You don't know what day you might run into somebody when you 20, 21, 22, and then we done catch you doing something like this. There wasn't no atonement made. Man, atonement. There wasn't no atonement for these people. Yahuwah would even go on and kill more of them later on in the chapter. Y'all better pay attention. Don't think y'all just got time.
Okay, so I just wanted to say something on what my dad has said about Abraham real quick. It's just something that I was thinking about. it hit me kind of heavy is, what if you're Isaac? What if you're the son that has to get sacrificed? Are you gonna be ready to do that if your Abba tells you, I have to sacrifice you because Yahuwah told me to? How would you be able to respond in that situation? So that goes back to not only dying to yourself, but at that point you have to conquer yourself. I talked to Malek. He said conquering yourself is the next step after dying to yourself. You have to literally conquer yourself to let somebody sacrifice you for the will of Yahuwah. And that's something that even I have to get to that point myself.
Dominion. Going out conquering and to conquer, which including yourself. All right, so you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that, you know, I still look young, but I was your age before. And at your age, you think you know a lot about a lot of stuff, and you think you feel like you're competent enough to make the right decisions, and you feel like you know what's best for you. However, that's not the case. And a lot of times you don't find that out until you get to your 20s. And now it's not even early 20s, it's more like late 20s and almost 30. And so you have to have enough honor and respect for the heads that the Most High has placed over you to be able to receive that word. Because I'm going to tell you, you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to see it yourself because your mind just don't work like that right now. Right now, your mind works like, this is what I feel like doing. This is what I don't feel like doing. This is what I want to do. And your mind is centered around self right now. You really can't see outside of yourself. So you have to depend on those who have been put in place over you, who can see you for who you are, because they raised you, they helped to mold you, to shape you into who you are, whether that's through bara. Because there are a lot of raw things too that I have shaped and molded into my children out of my own trauma or things that I hadn't had a ruka in yet. So a lot of y'all, that's in you too. You have that trauma of your parents in you. So you're raised up in a situation where sometimes you might not know even how to handle situations on your own, but you feel like you do. I know I was there. I felt like I knew everything. I felt like my mama couldn't tell me nothing. I was there, very spoiled, okay? She dealt with it. I was into sports. Ran track, played volleyball, co-captain of the dance team. I did all of that. And I would come home tired. And I didn't feel like doing what my mama asked me to do. And then I also felt like, well, I wasn't even here all day. I ain't eat none of them dishes. I ain't eat off of none of that. I ain't trying to wash that. Because my mind was centered around me. I'm tired. I've been at school all day. Then I had to go to practice. Then if it's like wintertime and I'm doing track, my arches done fell and I'm in pain. I ain't trying to stand up here and do no dishes. Not looking at a parent who is sacrificing to keep a roof over my head, sometimes having to work 2 and 3 jobs to make sure that happened, and I'm not able to see her at all because all I can see is myself and what I want. I can make my own money on the side, and I still won't be like, Mom, let me help pay your bills. Because all I thought about was myself. Let me go to Shein and buy me something. Instead of saying, you know what, let me clean this up over here. I got a little extra money this month. Here you go, Mom. Here you go, Dad. Put that toward whatever y'all needed for the house. That's a child who can think outside of themselves. None of y'all in this room, children-wise, even my oldest child, y'all not there. You can't see outside of yourself. So if you can't see outside of yourself, you can never make a conscious decision. that will be for the thub of your future. Because all you see is right now and how you feel right now and what you want right now. And so you have to rely on a righteous covering to help to guide you. And your righteous covering have to lean on Yahuwah and Yahusha to guide them so that they can properly guide you. We can't lean on our own understanding either. So why would you think you can? You can't. Yeah, we don't have it all figured out either. That's why we have to pray. That's why we have to seek Yahuwah on things. But that's also why you should be praying and not only seeking Yahuwah, but seeking your parents on things. And if your parents is giving you a word, that is for your thub. They're not trying to harm you. Their goal is to raise you to be able to hand what we're doing here over to you so that you can be the people who are taking care of this. You will run and worship. You're learning how to declare. You're learning how to do impartations. You're learning how to do deliverances. You're functioning as a priest. And not only function as a priest here, but learning how to be a priest in your home, especially for the boys. One day, all the decision of your household is going to rest on you. And Yahuwah is not going to look at your wife. Yahuwah is going to look at you. So that's why you have to learn how to make decisions now. And the way that you make decisions now is by submitting to your covering. Even as a wife, there might be decisions I want to make, and my husband will be like, yeah, no, you're not doing it. There are many times I might want to do something extra. Well, I might can be able to pick this person up and do this and do that. And, after I drop that one off, I might can get it. And my husband like, yeah, no. You're not doing it. And I'm not going to buck up again. Well, I want to do this. It's helping a Miss Paca. And no, because you know what? Sometimes I want to serve so much to where I'm not taking care of self. And so my husband has to step in and be like, yeah, no, you can't do that. I have to cover you. It's the same with y'all, with your parents. There might be decisions and things you want to do, and your parents like, yeah, nah, you can't do that. Because they have to cover you. Because if they don't cover you, then guess who they have to answer to? Yahuwah. And don't nobody want to get chastised by Yahuwah. Because you're not moving in obedience. Now, I want to be chastised if I'm doing something wrong and I don't know. Please show me. But that's how y'all need to be. Y'all need to be like that. If I'm not moving right, show me. Tell me I'm doing something wrong. Because the talking back to your parents, that's rebellion. That's you bucking up against your head. And we see now in the scripture, when you bucking up against your head, you bucking up against Yahuwah. Because most times, if you have a righteous parent, they're not going to make a decision concerning you without consulting Yahuwah. So if the decision that they're giving you is from the mouth of your parent, but from what they have received from Yahuwah in prayer, you're not just bucking up against your parent, you're bucking up against Yahuwah and Yahusha. So just know you're not of age to be able to see outside of yourself. And that's okay. We've been there. We've been children. That's totally okay. But what's not okay is not honoring your parents, not honoring your leaders, not honoring those who Yahuwah has placed over you. That's not okay. Because if they come up to you and try to give you a word and you ain't receiving it, we just read about that. We just read about that. And so what you're saying is, oh, Mushal, I know you're the Ab of this assembly. But I ain't trying to listen to what you say. I ain't trying to do that. So how are you a son? And that's not just for children, for adults too. How are you a son if you can't even receive a word from the head that's over you? We're not asking y'all to do nothing that we don't have to do. It's just about being in order. That's all. And knowing that your stuff stink sometimes. sometimes all the time. And you can't see outside of yourself. So it's a fool that will lean to their own understanding and not consider words of wisdom from their parents or their leadership. You're basically saying, I don't want a covering. I want to be out here naked and exposed. That's like going to a gunfight and you don't have a gun and you don't have no bulletproof vest on.
All praise to the Most High. We almost done though. So what we gonna do? If y'all have any more comments, we just wait till the parking lot. All praise to the Most High. Verse 31. We almost done. Got 4 more verses.
Verse 30. And it came to pass on the next day, the Most High said to the people, "You have committed a great sin. So now I will go up to Yahuwah. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." Then Moshe returned to Yahuwah and said, "Oh, these people have committed a great sin and have made themselves a god of gold, Elohim of gold." Verse 32. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written.
So now it's going back again to about being recorded, being accounted for in the books, in the records. And in order for that to happen, they have to have been written in the book. Sapphire, sapphire, kafar. You see, all this stuff is related to each other. See, kafar is related to safar. I remember, I know it's been a couple of years, but safar is the Hebrew word for scribe or write. Y'all remember that? That's Samik Peresh. Sapar. And kupar means to be atoned for. So what it's showing is that being written, that writing is associated with atonement. Because if you're atoned for, you are written in the book. You are recorded. You're written in the records. Let's keep going.
Verse 33. And Yahuwah said to Moshe, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book."
That's it. That's it.
Now therefore,
That means you're not covered. You're not atoned for. That means you're no longer written in the book. The word for book is sefer. That's all related. Sefer. That's Samik Peresh. Scribe is sapar. Samik Peresh. Sapphire is sapir. I think it's Samik Peresh, something like that. I gotta look it up. But it's crazy, y'all, how this is the stuff you only see in the Hebrew. How all the stuff is associated with atonement. Let's keep going.
verse 34. Now therefore.
Let me say this real quick. So, Samik Peresh Todah. And so, in Ezekiel, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Ezekiel chapter 10. That's the chapter that's about the writer's inkhorn. He had an inkhorn, and he was a scribe because he had the writer's inkhorn, and he was to mark people. And that word was sapar, to write, to mark on people's head. That was his job. And he marked the people who were mad that the children of Israel at the temple were worshiping the sun. Basically, this is the context. They were worshiping the sun and weeping for Tammuz. They're worshiping the allures of Babylon. And those who were not happy with what was going on, they were marked by a scribe on their foreheads. And that word for mark in Ezekiel, that's not the same word for mark or sign in all the other scriptures. That's what's so interesting. So it's ot, sign. But in Ezekiel, they use a different word. It's literally tav. On their forehead. Literally tav uwa. So that's a whole nother thing, because you see a tav, aleph and a tav happen with this eclipse. The eclipse made an aleph and a tav. I believe this last eclipse is the tav, right? Yes, sir. Yeah, this last eclipse that's happening on Pesach is a tav. It's going right over Central Texas, but let's keep going.
Verse 34. Now therefore, go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. Behold, my malach shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit for punishment, I will visit punishment upon them for their sin. Verse 35. So Yahuwah plagued the people because of what they did with the calf which Aaron had made.
Man. And even when you look at the Hebrew word for plague, I believe that's negep. Is that? Let me see. What's that word? Negep. So that's about it's about basically the seed rising up against the word. It's something along those lines. I had brought that up last year. There's something along the lines of it's about the seed who rises up against a word. So a lot of times when you see the Most High plague the people, it's because of some word they didn't receive. That's why, like, when you start looking at it, when the Most High put a plague on the people, it's because of some sort of word they didn't follow, some sort of word they didn't receive and went against. So all praise to the Most High. Todah for hanging in there with me. Y'all did through. Yahuwah to be praised. Hallelujah. But this whole Torah portion is about atonement. That's what's so interesting. It's about covering, because man, chapter 33, it goes into him when Moshe asked him to show him his glory. He asked Yahuwah to show him his glory, and Yahuwah said, "I'll put my hand on you to cover my kabod." And then he said, "You won't see my face." That's the word kop. Put my hand, kop, kuf pei. So it's just atonement all throughout this. And then in chapter 34, it goes into, the tablets were made and the covenant renewed. So it's powerful Torah portion, y'all. Very powerful Torah portion. All praise to the Most High.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.